Ladies and gents, we've just got some shocking news, especially for myself and Nath, both owning Lucas and Hosking and Duffy, and you have Woods and you have Hubner. So you're in the same situation as me, except you've got Woods out as well. So congratulations on a cracking start, mate. 200th overall with 1,012 last week. Talk us through the week and then let's react to the craziness and go through that.
Oh, appreciate it, brother. It was actually a pretty hectic week because I was sitting there, that sort of first half of Cleary, and I'm like, oh no, she's going to be a low week.
Hmm.
But thankfully, he came back and got that 63, and yeah, so pushed it through. Like honestly, had a fair few scores that were higher than I thought. Yo killed me. Yo killed everyone. Like, did you hear anything about that? Like, was he crook or what's the go?
No. Haven't heard anything, but it feels like he would have had to have been or something because he was avoiding contact, wasn't he?
Well, yeah. Well, I understand they were playing more on the edges, but that's what Yo does. He moves himself where the play is. So it was really strange.
Yeah, definitely. And welcome into Katrina as well. We're just reacting to Nathan's awesome start, 200th overall, and
Oh
then we're gonna go
wow,
through that Dylan Lucas news as well right now. Have you got him, Katrina?
Lucas.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I could was. I chose to go with Ponga over Lucas.
Okay. That's worked
I,
out
I
pretty
You're
well
tried to
so
get
far.
up
him
and
in, and I
now.
couldn't get. I couldn't get a team that I liked. So
There
it
you
was
go.
in and out and around, and just
That's
settled. I figured I had three cheapy centers, so
perfect. Yeah, Lucas, he's a worry for us because I was resigned to the fact that I was locking him in for the entire season, and this puts a spanner in the
I
works.
think.
Yeah, it's definitely two
What are you gonna
weeks.
what are you gonna do with it, Jamie?
Yeah, what's I'm trying to work out. It's definitely 2 weeks, and yeah, it could be up to 4 weeks as we know with these hamstring injuries, and they're hopeful that it's a minor one and that it's 2 to 4 weeks. So they haven't got the scans yet, but he's definitely tweaked it, and at a minimum, it's minor. So
well, they've got the bye next week, so I wouldn't rush off and necessarily
hmm.
sell him at this stage if you've got cover.
Yeah, well, that's the problem at the moment. It's the amount of guy outs that Nathan and I have. He's got five out at the moment. So,
Oh wow.
and then there's also the thing of trying to stay up with a good rank. Hey, Nate.
Yeah,
So,
no, yeah, I realize that. I'm
what?
struggling with the concept of changing my mindset from just playing H to H to playing overall.
There's a bunch of different guys. It also depends if you're going to keep keep buying a center or if you're just using your cheapies and you're going to buy someone else. And the big elephant in the room is Payne Haas now. With
Obviously.
Hosking and Lucas out, mate. Have you got any general thoughts since the news has only come out sort of a couple of hours ago now?
Oh yeah, brother. To be honest, I was gonna get rid of Duffy, but instead I'm gonna use all these dots to basically get the best score out of my bench for 1 week, knowing that I'm gonna have to trade at least one player off that next week.
Hmm.
And I don't like hamstrings.
Yeah.
I'm someone who's hung around with Travojevic on, things and kept Cleary for too long last season. And I'm sitting there going, you know what? I probably will regret it. He'll probably stay out 2 games, come back firing. But I'd rather get my points now when Huss is about to go up and become almost unbuyable. So
Mm.
I'm going to pivot probably to Huss and maybe actually take a punt on Siwa Wong
Oh,
for
Wongy
Hosking.
boy.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's a bit of a different one. I don't trust, obviously none of us trust the Roosters forwards, but he's playing so well. And those Butcher boys, they're coming back off injuries. So I don't know that he loses that spot if he keeps playing that well.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you think about it, the Canberra fellow, Nicholson, he's
Mm.
untested as well. Yeah, he's got an awesome first score, but he only played 65 minutes. And Tarpany's coming back. You don't know that that's like, they're both risky in their own way, is what I'm sort of saying.
Yeah. No, definitely. Do you have any cash in the bank?
No.
Okay.
But this gives me about 100K in the bank. So it also gives me the ability to sort of pivot Duffy next week to either a cash cow and bank some even more, or pivot him to because I'm getting rid of Lucas in the centres, I'm probably going to pivot Duffy next week to Stafford Toa if he has another good week.
Okay.
And that way it'll just be one trade next week and two trades this week. And I've saved one from the previous week. So sort of trying to limit the trades, but at the same time keep the crux of what I have. Plus, I mean that puts basically my front row as Taylor May, Isaiah Yeo, and Payne Haas, which I mean it's pretty solid.
Yeah, no, that's great. And then to have Horsburgh off the bench, it's wild.
Yeah,
Especially,
brother. I just wish he had dual position.
yeah, no, definitely. So in that case, you'd be playing Iongi then and moving Tamale up. Would that be the play?
Yeah, exactly. For now, I think that's a play because I got Jaden Campbell and Marzu. Like, obviously, Mars is going to be out for the bye, so I'm going to have to find something. I was going to use Iongi for that week. That's why I was keeping him.
Yeah, makes sense.
But, I mean, you can't rely on things when a player gets dropped and you have two injuries at the same time. You got to make do.
Yeah,
And if you're going to pivot, pivot heavy. So I'm going, Payne because like you said, he's probably not going to average that much more. So you're not taking him for cash generation. You're taking him for the rest of the season.
yeah,
And if you're going to do that, it's either now or probably post Origin, maybe, or, you know, like how do you get that kind of money? Like he's going to be 950K by the time people are trying to buy him.
yeah.
That's a lot. Like you're going to have to split your team up pretty bad.
And yeah, by that point, I think if you're not buying in the next few weeks, it's unless we see like a Cleary injury or something like that, you probably just have to leave him or a Yo injury.
Yep,
By the time it
absolutely.
comes to Origin and stuff like that. Kat, while you're there, I'll work on getting your team up while I'm talking. What rank are you in the private group right now? You're on mute, Kat. Anyway, while you're working that out, are these issues?
Uh, I'll just where I gotta go to fantasy. I'll just have a quick look. I
All
was just
good.
gonna ask Drunker Hem and Nate, who you replacing Hosking with? Are you going to Nichols?
I would have, but I'm really contemplating because Lucas is out now. I'm thinking Lucas and Hosking to Wong and Haas. I'd
Yep.
love to have enough for Nichols and Haas, but I don't. And I think Wong and Nichols come with the same sort of risks.
Oh yeah,
I,
yeah,
I'd rather Nichols, to be honest, if I had the cash, but I don't know. You got to take a risk sometimes, and
you
if I
do.
can get Haas in, I'm going to.
Yeah. Private group ranking 304th.
104. So it was a better week this week, wasn't it? Which was good.
Was for me. I broke the 900, which I didn't do last year.
Oh, there you go. It's exciting. Kevy's boys.
Yeah, where am I? Overall ranked, 23,000. So
Yeah.
I finished 39,000 last week.
Okay. So that's good. So yeah, I
Yep.
remember you saying 16,000 jump, which is awesome. And guys, my general thoughts there, I was looking at Nicholson as well. 9K short of going Haas and Nicholson from Hosking and Lucas. So I just had a little quick play around before I jumped on here. And that's the cool thing about it is there's endless opportunities, but the bad thing is, yeah, I wanted to hold Lucas the whole time, and it is hard. It's easier in Supercoach to hold someone like Lucas. He hasn't had a price rise yet. He needs one more game to get that price rise, and you have 26 players. The problem with fantasy is you need 17 every week, and you only have
Yeah.
21 available. So usually you're leaving plenty of points on the table if you hold a gun for more than sort of the 2 to 3 week mark. You're missing out on 20, 30 points most weeks, unless for some reason you can loop well, or your cash cows, or your 400K guys are scoring 40s and 50s, like we saw last week with Mamazelis, or, Tamale's doing a good job, Rob Toya 38. Like you can get lucky with that, but you can also cop the 19s and stuff. So with 21, it's so hard to hold two or three guys out, especially if they're of value. You can cop it for a bye week, like a Munster, as you see here with Cat's team at 597, but it's really hard to do it with 21 compared to the 26 that you do have in Supercoach. So I haven't looked at my Supercoach team yet, but I will be holding him because I think he can be awesome all year. Whereas I'd love to hold him in fantasy, but you do fall a little bit too far behind. And we saw that with Cleary, holding him for what was meant to be 3 weeks. It ended up being a few more. Even if it was the 3 weeks, those guys that held on, they fell so far behind and you're not guaranteed that he comes back straight away, as we saw with Cleary. Yeah, it might be 4 weeks for Lucas, and that's tough. You could get lucky, and it is only 2 weeks, but he could also come back and re-injure it as well.
Mm.
So it's not guaranteed that he comes back and hits 65, 65 and goes nuts. As much as I wish that was the case, it can be difficult. But Kat, your side there, I think it's pretty good, hey?
Jamie, just before you start, if you want to go, I posted the screenshot, which has got the changes in it.
Okay, for your
Mm.
side, cool.
Yeah,
I'll find it in there. Give me a second.
you're right, mate.
I
What
was
did
just
you?
going to say as well, while we're doing that, the reason I'm sort of pivoting is that you talked about re-injury. Hamstrings are notorious for re-injury as well. So they're like
They are,
one
yeah.
injury that you can pop very easily and sort of go out and aggravate it again. It can sort of be season long.
Hmm. Yeah, that's the problem. That's where the little issue with Turbo is at the moment. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
So,
That's the whole reason I didn't pick Huss at the beginning. I always, as a Broncos supporter, always start with Huss.
yeah,
But the injury, I went, yep, nah, I'll
he's
go
had a
with
few.
Yo. Yeah,
Yeah, and he could come out and get injured still, but there
yeah.
you go. So you got stuff
Hey,
at
don't say
Toa
that. I'm
who's come
pivoting.
in. All right. What else have you got in there?
Yeah, I took out Iongi
Yep.
for Toa,
Hmm.
and that moved Marky Mark to the bench, so he'll cover Ponga next week.
Yep.
And then the other one was Duffy. I took
For
Duffy
Steve,
out for Steve.
Stevie boy.
Um, I just like his PPM
Yep.
at the moment. I did a bit of a look. I know his minutes will probably drop,
Yep.
but even if he gets 30, he's still planning to pump out about a 30, I reckon. So hopefully
Sure.
give me a bit more cash generation. He's sitting on a -6 BE at the moment, so
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's not definitely not the worst shout at all at 305. If he hits that 30, he's going to get into the 400s at least, which
yeah.
is yeah, and he should be safe in that side. It seems like he was the next young forward up, and the other guys have come along after. The injuries have come up. So he looks like
Yeah.
he's playing good, right? So that's a win. All right, what else
Plus,
Yeah,
have you got?
I'm not expecting. I think he's got an average of about 40 or something, 44.
That's the
Obviously
two
he
games.
got
Yep.
more hours, almost not more hours, more minutes in the first game because of the Victor Radley HIA.
Hmm.
So I am expecting his minutes to drop, but I still think his like he's sitting over one
Yep.
ppm. So we'll just see how
That's
we go.
cool.
It's a bit of, it's my risk for the week.
Yeah, Terrell May's
yeah,
captain. That seems fairly safe at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. He's just basically because of the consistency of the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. No, he's such a
plus
beast.
Cleary's playing the Storm, and
Well, that's
it
true.
has
I was going to go Ponga, but I just think May's got the consistency at the moment for me. So,
Yeah. That's
historically Cleary against the Storm. He'll either go amazing
yep,
or
or
not so
not at
great at all.
all.
So it's like it's a real hit and miss play. May's sort of the middle ground.
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, he should be fun on that one for sure. So Munster comes back in. You got Steep there. So Cole sitting in the loop slot. How you going with
yeah.
that,
I'm not
Cat?
looping this. I'm not looping this week.
Oh, I think you are. If you've got Cole in five, then he plays in the first game. So
Yeah, but
if you,
Munster's playing.
yeah, so if you like Cole's score in the first game,
Oh, yeah, I
then you
can
just,
loop Hubner.
yeah, exactly. That'll be
Yep,
perfect.
yep,
So
yep.
that's
Absolutely.
that's an easy one to do. What I would suggest for you as well is just
Yeah.
to, because Munster plays in the first game, is just to pop him in your starting team as well. Just as
Uh,
another simple thing. It just what you want to have is as much flexibility in your interchange as possible. Like we've seen heaps of injuries and stuff that's
oh,
happened.
yep.
So
I understand.
yeah, if they're not in if you keep that interchange free, you can move anyone up and down. Whereas the starting side, if they're laid out, you can't put like you can only put the half in there. So it's just little things like that. Some people will say put if you've got a dual position guy, you can pop them on the bench, and I think that's cool as well because if they're laid out, they cover a couple.
Yep.
But if they're straight up like Munster, just pop him in the
So
in the.
obviously I'd take out Humphreys.
Well, Humphreys is.
Clear,
I understand why
Cleary's
you've got him
playing.
in.
Oh no, I'm just saying Cleary's. Well, that was to cover Munster, but yeah.
Hmm.
So,
No, well, I
but yeah,
understand why.
obviously,
Hope freeze.
Yeah, I understand why you've got Humphreys in the starting side. He's better than Munster. So,
Yeah.
it's better than Cleary at the moment.
well,
He's better
yeah,
than most.
Yeah, better than Yo, better than everyone, except for Terrell,
Yep.
except for Haas
Yeah,
Nuts.
no, okay, I'll fix that one up.
and Watson. Yeah, Watson got him just, I think,
Yeah, Watson
73
as
maybe.
well. Yep,
Yeah.
just.
No, you seem
But
really good, Kat. I'm impressed
yeah,
with where you're at, and I actually expect you to improve again this week, and I think you should be making.
Yeah, if I can crack under the 20,000, that'll be a
Yeah.
miracle because I've never been under 20,000.
No, it's
oh, you'll
cool.
smash it, Cat. We believe in you.
I'm hoping to. My goal is actually to get up. I'll be happy if I crack the 10,000 this year. That's my
Yeah,
ultimate goal.
that'd be
Nice.
cool. Well, you got Munster that comes in and should score well. Yo should improve. Watson probably comes down a bit. Hopgood has the potential to do better. Safepath can definitely improve. You got Tower in now who should score pretty solidly, and then Brimson 32. You should hopefully expect an improvement. So it's probably just a little bit down on Watson and Ponga, but you've got 4 or 5 guys that should go up, which is cool. And then you can see how Cole goes in that first one
Yeah,
because yes, as you said with Steve, he could get like a 28 or a 32, or he could get 20 minutes or 40 minutes. We don't know. So if Cole gets like
yeah,
40, then it's a pretty easy one to take as well,
yeah,
which is good.
absolutely. And I'm pretty happy with what I've got at the moment. Um, so I'm hoping not to do any more trades
Yeah.
next week, so I can bank a couple.
And if something comes up, you've got that 165 left over, which
Yep,
is cool.
I've tried to spend it, just doesn't work for me.
Don't we
The
all?
only the only one I would probably think about taking would be Jesse Arthur's, but I'm not 100% convinced yet that he's going to maintain that
Yeah,
top
well,
scoring. But while he's playing outside Benny Hunt, he's looking good.
that's right. Yeah, that's been the big change, isn't it? Because we look at his
It's Ben Hunt, yeah.
scoring in the past, and it's pretty bad. But now that he's got Hunt there, it's he's feeding him, which is good. And I think he'll score pretty well this week as well. But
Oh,
he's
absolutely.
getting more expensive, that's
Sorry,
for sure.
Jamie.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think you should smash us. That's for sure. And for you with Goz, hopefully he can actually get some decent minutes and maybe a try here just to keep that cash gen going because
Yeah,
that was a bit frustrating last week after the really good start too to only get the 48 minutes and 12 points. Pretty gross.
absolutely. But he still did better than Reece Walsh, so
Yeah, at least you
I'll
didn't have Reese.
see.
Surprised you didn't have Reese, so
Yeah, no, he's too inconsistent for me. He's more like Latrell, 70 one week and 25 the next.
no, that's very fair. Very fair. Well, we've got Heath's team in here as well. He hasn't joined us on here, but he's probably thinking it's an hour later again, like last time. But hey, what about the
I'm here.
timing
I
on
did
that?
sneak in.
Hey, Heathy.
How
My
are we?
goodness.
How are you,
Oh,
brother?
not too bad. How are we all?
Yeah, well, what are we ranked, big fella?
Just outside 10,000. I think it was
Oh, nice.
10,737.
Perfect then.
And
You're in a
then
pretty good
my
spot. Except
second
you're on
team
the
is like 8 points ahead, tied with my brother, and he's letting me know about
oh,
Oh,
it.
nasty.
fair play, fair play. Mate, you're in the same boat as us with Hosking and Lucas. What's your reaction to it?
Yeah, I've been trying to do a little bit of a look. I sort of just figured out about Lucas on the drive to get dinner just before this, and so I was trying to do some maths in my head before this. It was who was I looking at? Duffy going out for quite cheap. So there's a lot more money to play with. I think the main play, obviously, for everyone is Haas, and I think without overthinking it, I'd probably go him and a Starling. I've got 569 left if I put Haas in, so there's still quite
Oh,
a bit of money to play with.
lucky
Um,
man. That's what I want to do.
yeah, it makes it quite simple. The only thing I don't like about it is probably my wing fullback structure at the moment and having to play
That's,
Iongi. So there's considerations to I can afford Marzu now. So I was 1K short before that with a Cole, but he then has the bye next week. Brimson, I was keen on all preseason, so he just had a bit of an off game, but I think he only improves from there. Looked good, but with that extra money, looking at Brimson, I almost consider Campbell a little bit more because I think
mm.
it would only maybe take a week to put in a Toa this week, dash that money, and then look at an Aaron Clark or a Safer going up to Campbell next week.
There's a few options.
If I, yeah, there's a few there, but as I said, I think the straightforward one at the moment I'm looking at is probably just a Haas and Starling.
Could you do Haas and Mazu? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, can do Haas and Marzu too,
Ooh,
which would cover the
ooh,
wing
ooh.
fullback, and
That's pretty
then I
tempting.
could just look at something next week. It's been hurting me because Marzu was in my team all preseason.
Ugh.
He
The
and
double
Humphreys
offload
went
king.
out. Yeah,
How many nights do
so
you have there, mate? You've only got one, don't you?
Yeah.
yeah, it's only Lucas in there, so he'll be gone too.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I'd
that's
be able to
tempting at
stash him
Mars
quite
then.
easy,
Mm.
and he's definitely going to make that cash and possibly stay there season long as well too.
Yeah, well, if Lucas comes out, then you'll have to move Tamale up, right? So
Yeah. Oh, yes.
that's your problem at the moment. Is that just that center and
Yeah,
wing
I hadn't looked at the
fullback for next
centre.
week?
I'll be short now. I was worried about
But
the
Toa, you said you
edge.
could do Toa,
Yeah, Toa. He should have a nice price rise for a while.
unless you do
Um,
next week. But
yeah, I think if I was going to get him, I'd get him this week because it's probably 50 grand straight away.
could be same for
Um,
Mazu though.
oh, it could be too, actually.
But
Yeah, so they probably balance out quite well.
mm,
I was worried I was going to be short on edges originally, but
well, that's me. I lose
the,
both. I lose two edges
Same.
and lose a center, and it's like, oh well, there goes all my cover. And it's like, now what do I do? So plenty to think about. That's for sure. Crazy.
yeah, it's going to have to be a bit of a team structure look, I think, and see with those guys going out how it covers the buys for the next few weeks and go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, this
But
video
yeah,
is
Marzi's
definitely.
definitely getting more tempting.
Yeah, I agree. Especially with just it would be the one night. Yeah, this video feels it's just such a reaction video, and we're working out on the fly, which I think will help people that are stressing because I've seen the amount of questions probably triple in the last hour, which is people stressing. Thank goodness it's not Thursday afternoon, and we can
Oh
actually sit
man,
on
how
it
bad would that
and have a
be?
little play and work it all out. But overall, Heath, really happy with your side, and yeah, if you do make those trades or whatever works for you, I think you'll continue to increase. I think it was cool to see for you, Aaron Clark, get that 41 as well, just to keep things probably at least holding or ticking in the right direction. Because the rest of the guys are doing pretty well, right?
Yeah, yeah, he just makes it that little bit tricky that he's not quite a clear trade out just yet now. So
Yeah.
he gets one more week before I think Warriors have their bye. So we have this weekend next week actually.
Hmm.
And so yeah, I think I sort of look at him as a possible trade out if he sort of sticks around that 40. If he can get to mid 40s, he might stick around.
Yeah.
He might be my little love affair player of the year. I was high on him all preseason and hope he comes good by round 20 and then I'll ride it.
Love it.
When there's a couple of injuries or something, Barney goes down or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think this is a. I was thinking before, again, another week of. Ugh, there's so many injuries. Why do I sideways trade in other weeks? Like just even thinking about last week, Metcalf going to Gilbert for me. It's just like, it's just that one of those mistakes that when these weeks happen, it's like, oh, I wish I'd just saved that trade because you think you're going to save a couple and then bang, bang, injuries come and you're double trading, triple trading again. And I think it's just a cool lesson for that to have early on in the season and try not to be reactive with your trades as well, everyone. You've got situations where it is stressful. It's day before first games, and there's guys that you weren't even thinking about on Monday and Tuesday that are now coming into your head, and you might be chasing points because you feel, oh, I feel like I'm behind. I was talking to Mitch. I keep telling him how lucky he is, and he doesn't have Hosking or Lucas, and he still doesn't have to. I think he's going to make one trade this week, so he will have banked three so far. I just keep calling him the luck box, but yeah, he made the right call last week in not trading, and I suppose he got rewarded this week with not having to with some injuries as well. Like different little things like that can be helpful, but just being clear with your thoughts today. Like if you had guys that, oh, maybe like Payne Haas, I probably couldn't get to him, but now I can. Awesome. But if you were thinking of other guys that you really liked, probably just stick with them. There's no point going, oh, maybe I could go for this guy. Like I was even thinking before Jack Howarth. Like I'm interested in him. He would cover edge and center for me. There's other guys like Bo Fermor that could play a role as that edge center and help me out in both of them. But for Howarth, I was like, I think you got to pick him after the Panthers one if you want to go for him. Bo
Yep.
Fermor, is he clearly in your trade thoughts? Is he someone that you think can make money, or is he just a guy that is a straight replacement for Lucas? Like there's all these different things you need to think of. Take the night to think about it and I suppose just keep trying to continue chasing the guys that you were thinking about that you maybe had to leave out in the preseason. You've seen a couple games now and you're still interested. That's probably the best thing to think of rather than going a bit outside the square on guys that you haven't thought of too much. It's probably the big thing. Have you got
Quick
any
question, Jamie.
yeah, go.
Just because you've got Lucas in centre and a lot of people do, I'm just looking at the amount of quality centres that we have that are really cheap. And it seems like pivoting could really be an option when you're talking Toya, Tamale, Toa. You've got a fair few that are still around that price point, but are scoring around the 40s every time.
Yeah.
Would it be worth pivoting? Or is it one of those things where you're like, okay, it's going to be worth it, but we're not going to know until he comes back from the injury?
I think it's definitely worth pivoting and that's where the hard thing is to if you want to can you go to a cheap guy and actually leave 300 or 400K on your bench? Like, can you stomach that personally this week, knowing that he could be coming back? But maybe that is the correct play because they are scoring, well enough to plug that hole. And next week there are injuries or you do want to upgrade Duffy, and like that's something to think of as well. If you leave some cash in the bank for Duffy, you can move him on to 500 or 600K guy that's on the way up. Like Couchman comes to mind for next week that could plug that edge position and has that mid duel as well, which isn't as important right now. The edge is, it seems
Ooh,
like, but yeah, options like that could come up. So yeah, it might not be perfect for this week. You sneak that 30 odd 40 and next week it's better off for you in a week that maybe you thought you were going to struggle a bit because you had Lucas. Maybe you can turn it around and make it like a push forward week because other people have Mazu and Ponga or whatever they have type of combo, and they have an injury next week and you don't. So it swings and roundabouts. Just try to be, I think, really centered in your thoughts and yeah, use this as some type of opportunity. Like I saw when I saw that he might have been injured, already started thinking, oh, maybe I can get Payne Haas, and how's that going to work for me? Or okay, maybe I can pivot to two other guns or whatever it is. So just trying to use it as some type of positive because the injuries do come thick and fast, and so about Mitch hasn't got the injury issues yet, but he'll have them in other weeks. Yeah, it just hasn't happened for him yet, and we'll get lucky in other weeks as well, which we haven't right now. With three of us having four players out this week, and Cat having two or three as well. So yeah, it's interesting. Plenty to think about, and strategy over the next few weeks is going to be fun to look at, and we'll separate a lot of teams as well. Like you're sitting in a great position, and what you do over the next few weeks as long as you don't make a mistake, you should be in a pretty good spot. Like I don't, you can definitely push away, but I think you can lose it as well if you start going a bit too fancy. Or so just sticking to your process, even when there is injuries, is the big call. I think. Any thoughts, Heath? Any thinking out louds while you're just working it all out?
I'm terrible for that in the group chat. I'll think out loud and I have some terrible ones sometimes, but I just say them out loud in there and put them out into the universe and then think about them a little bit more later. Like my buys with the four-way loop, I was thinking about that a little bit more. I was like, that'd be near impossible and only put you out more rounds to do it. But anyways, yeah, I definitely agree with you with sort of not overthinking things too much or getting too much into a panic. That's probably very easy to do and with a large sum of money too because of those players. Don't forget about your team structure in there as well too. Yes, you can get some guns in, but make sure you're still covered, especially with a lot of people having those Knights players. Just make sure you don't sell yourself short. I'm just looking at mine a little bit more now, and I think if I do lock in that Starling Haas trade, Seyfarth's to lock in my team because I'm going to need him in there as edge cover. I'm going to be so covered for mid so well, so Clark will essentially have to go. So it'll kind of lock me in a little bit. So yeah, maybe stick with what I was thinking originally, go back to filling those positions and covering them too, but with those guns as well. And I think, as you said, that moving that money around rather than sticking it on the bench, even though you could probably cover the centres really well, we've probably got some other positions that we could like fill up with a little bit more points with that money, whether it be wing fullback for me, it might be the bench for some other people, could probably be better used. So I think trade them, but trade them smart.
Yeah, yeah, because you could you could benefit this week with that quick points, but does it actually help you for the next few? Or if another injury comes up, is the way to
Yeah.
think about it for sure.
Will you pay in a week or two because you've got to play Goz in your edge because you've got no one else there, for example, or
Yeah.
Iongi's still going terrible, but you haven't been able to get him out because you spent all the money on upgrading a Hopgood to a Haas. Like it doesn't sort of make
Yeah.
sense in the long run.
Well, that looks pretty yuck now, doesn't it? Kat, any final thoughts?
Yeah.
No, I don't. No, no, I try not to think too much. My brain hurts. Um, especially with this stuff. I do have a question though,
Yeah.
if I can ask. When do we start looking at making sure we've got 13 players for 12 to 19?
Going to be pretty late, especially this year, just
Yep,
with it not needing 17 the following weeks because you just need the 13 the whole way.
yep,
So more around sort of round 7, 8. If you do like planning, I'd start then. Some people might start around sort of round 10. Mitch talks about he doesn't think about it too much, where other people like I'm probably in between. I start thinking about it around then. I know Scoop's probably a little bit more around the sort of round 5, 6, which is cool, but it's more just the 50-50 decisions. So if you like two people and one has a schedule that fits your team as well, like they
yep,
might have some players might have a really good schedule like for the masses, but you've got a heap of people that fit this round and you're like, oh, well, I don't need another one that fits that round. I need another one that fits the following round or something like that. Like, so that's when
yep.
I'd start looking at that if it's just a 50-50 decision. But yeah, leave it. Well, that's actually, yeah, round 12 now. So yeah, still that 7, 8, I think is cool. Gives you 4 rounds to make moves. But usually what I found last year is I probably thought about it a bit too much too early and set myself up probably a round or two early. And then
Yeah.
I got to that round 13 and I had 13 players already. And I kind of wanted to trade out guys like Cotter, but I'd already had 13. So I end up holding him the whole way. And I think you can wait until that final round to make the one or two trades and don't have to think too early. Just focus on getting the good points, the good cash generation until sort of round 8 or something like that. And even easier this year with the four less players. But yeah,
Yeah,
I think it'll be okay.
which is a huge bonus, but most of
Yeah,
us have got probably a lot of players. Well,
yeah,
I've got players that I either on a buy in round 12 will be when's Origin? Is Origin played? Will they have will
that
the
week.
Origin players have 12 off?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So it
yeah.
was 13 last year and 16 and 19. Now it's 12, 15, 8,
Okay.
18,
Yeah,
and they can back up the following week. So yeah, yeah,
yeah.
it
And
shouldn't.
one more question.
Yeah.
Who is Scoop?
Oh, Lachlan Smith.
That, Lachlan, that's it. I couldn't think of it. Yeah,
That's right.
cool.
Yeah. You'll see his
It's my
video in the, oh, he's already sent his video this morning. We'll get Nikki's video tomorrow morning. Can't wait to see that.
oh,
But
that'll be good.
yeah, he just like he loves his spreadsheets and thinking ahead with that kind of stuff. So it
Yeah,
really
he's
helped
my
him.
type of man.
Yeah, helped him a couple of years ago. Did really well just outside the top 100 and you reckon last year a lot of his projections and stuff didn't end up working. Things changed so quickly with injuries and all different things. So it kind of hurt him a little bit, but yeah, he loves that sort of stuff. And some people go off vibe and off gut and just focus on the fundamentals. And then like they get to that point, they're like, oh, okay, I'll make like 3 trades this week and just fix it all up in round 13. Whereas some people are thinking ahead. So they can all work well. And yeah, it's just going to be about chasing the right scorers through that time. I think like there could be one or two guys that even if they are Origin players, it's like well they usually back up and they score well through that period. So
Mm.
it's just going to be trying to get that best 13 on the park in each of those weeks. I think will get you the advantage and then how many trades you've saved or what position you're at going into the buy period will determine it. But yeah, it's a new year with all that and someone will come up with the best strategy. Hopefully it's us, eh?
Well, hopefully, because I've seen some of the other strategies out there.
Well, yeah, we're on the right track. We've got some people doing really well, and shout out to you, Nate, and for the position you're in. And Heath, you're a bit ahead of me, and Kat, you're only just behind my tail. So we're all in different spots. It'll be interesting to see over the next few weeks how we all end up. And you guys out there watching, you'll see a few of these heads on your screen every sort of 2 to 3 weeks, which will be good fun. And I hope you enjoyed that sort of open discussion and we'll get it out there more often. So congrats, guys. You're all famous now, and Kat, I think this will be your first time on the channel properly, I believe.
On the channel, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So that's exciting, and yeah, shout out to Nate and Heath who've both been on before. So thanks everyone for watching. We'll leave it there, and I'll go and work out who I'm going to trade into my team. It's going to be a fun night, and answering some questions too.
Cheers, mate.
Right.
Fins
Good luck,
up.
guys.
Cheers for having us.